Today I'm starting to see the first signs of growth on a number of my trees and my blueberry bushes. So I've got 3 different types of fertilizer I'm going to throw down. Right here I've got some of my alfalfa. I usually soak it so it's a bit more bioavailable more quickly. Got the acid mix back there, that's for the blueberries specifically. And I've got some seaweed extract just in case. I usually stick with the alfalfa first because I think that nitrogen heavy is pretty good during the first part before the fruit has set or anything, after which you'll want to do a little bit less nitrogen. But I just wanted to show you right here, if you can see. Maybe you can't. Okay. Sorry, that's a bit too blurry, but what I'm seeing right here is I'm seeing that some of these buds are starting to show signs of separate leaves, so they're kind of starting to leaf out. So that's what I'm calling the first signs of life on these blueberries. The winters here are mild enough that you don't really hibernate like you would in, I don't know, upper Midwest. So they've never stopped growing, but this is what I count as the first sign of growth for the new season. And today I will be adding the acid mix to the blueberries, and I'll be adding alfalfa to my plum tree and my apple tree. Final decision for fertilizing the plum tree. I dropped down the alfalfa, then I dropped down a little bit of potash, just a dusting. I raked it over, I watered it, and then I added a gallon diluted of the seaweed. So basically what's going on, and I'm just showing you some of my tools over here, is that the alfalfa gives the nitrogen that it needs. Now the potash, wood ash, whatever you want to call it, that's high in potassium, but it's also very alkaline, so you need to really just add a little bit of dusting and don't overdo it in your soil. So I raked it all in and wetted it so that the fertilizer could get to the roots, and then I'm just going to add a little bit extra of organic matter, leaves and such, because there's a couple of bald spots. I don't know if you can see, but that's clay soil right there, whereas around the edges over there has got a bunch of leaves and other organic matter. So on this little walkway here that you probably can't tell is a stone walkway, there's all kinds of leaves. So that's what I'm gonna throw on top of those bald spots, and I'm gonna do a similar thing with the apple tree. And the reason I decided to throw on the seaweed at the end, I hadn't decided for sure, but the other 2 things, the alfalfa and the potash, are not as quickly bioavailable, whereas the seaweed extract is pretty much immediately bioavailable, so I just wanted the best of both worlds there. Here in the blueberry section, I ended up using the acid mix, like I said, and then some of the seaweed extract as well. And I noticed, actually, when I was getting close to this guy, that the raspberries have started kind of budding a little bit, so I ended up putting acid mix and the seaweed on them as well. Alright, and with the apple tree done same as the plum was, that is it for today. Again, I used the alfalfa, the potash, and some of the seaweed extract. I think I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. I'm not going for the absolute yield here. I'm going for a healthy plant, healthy soil, and a certain amount of budgeting, because I have easy access to potash, and I have like a 50-pound bag of alfalfa pellets that I bought a few years ago. So might be a better combo out there for you, but I tend to think that it's more important when you drop down fertilizer than the exact mix of the fertilizer if you aren't going for absolute maximum yield. And so getting the time where you hit just before bud break, or when it's coming out of dormancy, or for me, since it never really truly goes into dormancy, I'm just going to call it the start of the growth season. I think that's really the most important part here.